Hey, everybody, I'm the RV Wingman. Hope you're having a great day. Now, coming up in the next few minutes, you're going to meet a gentleman named Jonathan. Now, let me say this right up front. Jonathan has not yet bought his RV. Not yet. Now, he's a lifelong RVer, but right now he doesn't have an RV. As I said, not just yet. So he is not here to tell you what brand is best or why this one is better than that one. Nothing like that. What he is here to do is something I think far more valuable. That is, if you are a future RV buyer, he's going to walk us through his process, his very slow, I mean that in a good way, slow, methodical, thoughtful approach to making what could be one of the biggest purchases of his life. Again, this conversation is not about floor plans and fridges and models. It's about discipline. It's about wisdom. It's about questions. And essentially, it's about the mindset you need to have if you don't want to wind up with an RV that you regret. Now, one quick mention. I was introduced to Jonathan through the owner of one of the finest RV dealers in the country and one of the absolute best RV dealers in the state of California. I spoke with him recently in another video, and a link to that interview is in the description down below. Now, as I mentioned at the top of today's video, my guest has not yet bought an RV. Not yet. So why is he so big on the dealer that introduced us? It's because this dealer is different. He's way different. This dealer is honest, he's smart, he is very direct, and guess what? He keeps his word. He and his wife are not the biggest dealership in California, but they may well be the very best. So I hope this interview gets you in the right mindset when you are in the doing your homework phase of buying an RV. Because I think that Jonathan, who you're about to meet, is doing it just right. I have forever said how important it is to do your homework when you're buying an RV. And people are, okay, and then they run out and buy one. But evidently, homework to you means more than just having an emotional want to. Talk to me about your journey, if you will, in purchasing an RV. How long ago did it start? And what have you done for homework?
I'm kind of, maybe it's the OCD in me. I don't know what it is, but I don't just go out and go, I'll take that one. I want to do my research.
Yeah.
And when I decided that maybe a fifth wheel was what I was looking for, that meant that I was going to basically not just, have to shop for, the fifth wheel itself, but I had to shop for a truck. So that means researching two things: researching trucks, researching RV, all that. My background was that we kind of, in our family, we love RVing. We've had it. My dad had a diesel pusher decades ago. And it was great because when my family was young, my kids were young, they say the best thing, it's kind of like boat ownership, right? The next best thing to own in a boat is when a friend owns a boat and pays for it, but you get to use it for free whenever you want. That's the way it was with the diesel pusher. So I got to drive this beautiful Monaco, and it was great slide outs and the whole thing. And while the gassers were struggling up the hill, I was in a diesel going, see ya, passing them all. And so that was fun. And we learned our lessons right away. You learn kind of in the RV world, you kind of through trial and error sometimes. And back then it wasn't such a huge YouTube. This is like 90s. All right. And I remember the first time, like, we thought, hey, let's save some money and let's mix a bunch of Kool-Aid. And then we kind of wedged it on the counter, and I hung the first corner, and that red Kool-Aid just went right off the counter and spilled everywhere. And it looked like the elevator scene in The Shining all through the RV. And it was, we learn lessons by doing things wrong. So it's been a long time since then. I've bought a fifth wheel that my son ended up living in. So it's like, what we thought was, oh, maybe this will be a travel and fun. No, it's a place where somebody's going to live. My dad bought a fifth wheel. So we've had lots of different experiences with it. We've actually rented a bunch because in between, when we didn't have them, when my dad sold the diesel pusher, we still wanted some. So we've tried all kinds of different ones, but it's time to get one, and we're kind of shopping around. And so,
So how long have you been shopping? How long ago did this start? A month ago, 6 months ago? What do you think? And
right now, spring of 2025, I started shopping summer of 24.
Seriously, I mean, have you put a lot of time into it? And walk me through, not everything, but kind of, okay, that's like 9 months. I don't know, 10 months almost. That's a long time. does that mean you've just surfed a bunch of YouTube channels and said, wow, that's a nice one? Or what is homework to you?
Yeah. Three different things I've been doing. One is, talking to other people who own trucks and or RVs and asking them, what have you learned? What do you think? Stopping by and talking to, at dealerships, which then of course you're getting a very, kind of biased version. Well, whoever you talk to, you're always getting a biased version. But,
Sure.
obviously a salesperson is very much, it might be what list they were handed that day of these, we've got to get rid of these, and obviously we only sell these models. And if you bring up a different brand or something, they're like, oh, well, here's what's wrong with that brand.
Right.
YouTube, you can kind of tend to, I think, get a little bit more education, because you can browse around. And now, and here's the thing, though, even with YouTube, you got to be careful, because like all social media, I mean, browsers are smart. They find out what you like and they start feeding you more of what you like.
Exactly.
And so that's one thing you have to realize, is that
Yeah.
if you sit there and go, okay, and you start looking between, for trucks, for example, you're looking between, your GM, your Ford, or your Ram is kind of your big choices, what you're looking for pulling. And if you also start clicking on a bunch of GM, you're going to get a bunch of GM videos. So you might think, gosh, most people like GM, because that's what you're being fed. So that's one thing you have to realize.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tricky. You have to almost like give other people equal share so that you could get information. So that's one thing I've been doing. And it's been really helpful, because as I walk and talk with folks, I always am a big believer in talk to someone you disagree with. And so I think it's neat to, even I think, man, because there are particular brands, and I'm not going to name them, but that I know I won't buy. But I've gone to some of those dealers, and
But hang on, Jonathan.
Yeah.
How do you know? Is it because of the research you did that you at one time you thought, boy, brand X was going to be a good one, and you threw that out after you did research, or did you just not like it? Because what I'm hopeful for is, this is great, because obviously you've taken your time and you're still in the shopping process. But I'm hoping that other people that are watching this are going, I need to tap the brakes a little bit, kind of not necessarily follow exactly what you're doing, but I think that you're taking the right approach.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important purchase. When I'm looking at pulling, if and I happen to be looking at new. So if you're looking at new with a truck that can pull a good size fifth wheel, I mean, you're looking at, $80K plus,
Right.
And if you're looking at, RVs, you could be anywhere, fifth wheels, you could be anywhere from 50 to 120. I mean, when you're looking at over 100K, I mean, I think it's good to put some time into it. I think it's not to do an impulse buy. So whether or not you need to take as many months as me, I'm probably 100 hours plus into each. I really enjoy it, because when you're shopping RV, you're kind of looking at two things. You're looking at, I mean, besides, I already said, you're looking at truck and fifth wheel, but whether you're buying a drivable RV, or whether you're buying a trailer and you've already got a truck, when you're looking, you always got to look at two things. You got to look at the thing you're going to buy, and you're going to look at who you're going to buy it from. And both are vitally important, because you might even say, man, I really want this, but if there's no dealers around you that provide this, the thing with RVs is RVs, I've had them. They break. The best of them with the best makers, and that's the thing. There's guys out there who are like, oh, and they'll name a brand, and they'll be like, this brand's supposed to be good, but here's this couple that they bought it, and this piece of trim is falling off. Guess what?
Kidding.
One of the best home builders in our area. I know them. They're across the hall from my office. They're amazing. I've bought houses. My family, we've bought houses from them. The first house we bought from them, when we hooked the washer up, and it did its rinse cycle, we filled the wall with water because somebody forgot to hook up the drain right in the wall. So I mean, the best builders make mistakes, and we have to realize this. And you're going to see those mistakes posted all over the internet, because we now live in a world where you post, and in the comments are like, yeah, they're a bunch of crooks, and so you have to weed through those comments and go through this. But what you end up needing to do, back to what I was saying, is you're not only buying this thing, you're also, who are you going to buy that from? And I tell you something, RVs are going to need work. So a huge part of the shopping experience is not just the unit you want to buy, but who you want to buy it from.
Well, hang on. Not to interrupt, but that's what I do.
Please.
Radio
okay.
guy. You know
it's
how
a
that
dialogue.
goes.
It's not a monologue. Yeah.
I'm a pro at interrupting, but
you can do that.
That's how I heard about you. How you and I got introduced is a contact that I have out in California.
Yeah.
You know, Tony at you know, Referral Auto.
Yeah.
He's, you know, I said, Tony, I said, I want somebody that's smart, that's a critical thinker, and not necessarily somebody that you've sold to, but I want somebody that I can visit with out on the West Coast. You just recently went to his RV buying seminar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What,
yeah.
Was that the first time?
That's what we learners do. We go and absorb as much information as we can.
What was that like?
Plus, he had free donuts.
That's
I
good.
mean, you know that you can't turn that down. No, it was great. It was you know, I think for most folks it's going to be 90% new information. I've been doing so much research for so long, even watching some of Tony's stuff, that you know, probably 50% of it was new for me because I'd learned a lot of it from Tony and from others already. The thing I like about Tony, again, so back to, you know, you could buy the vehicle you want, whether it's drivable, trailer, fifth wheel, and there's that, and then there's who you buy it from. Tony was so his dealership was so attractive to me that I've actually switched what vehicle I want to get, what RV I want to get, because I've actually visited kind of the dealerships out. There's no, I'll say it straight up. A Brinkley is what I wanted. After doing the shopping, the Brinkley's out there, and I know some people aren't Brinkley fans, whatever, but the thing I like about Brinkley is Brinkley basically was these guys who used to work for other places, you know, if you've done the research, and they kind of were frustrated with the industry and a lot of the breakdowns in the industry, and the leadership, who I've dialogued with some of the leadership, they said, hey, there's a lot of things in the RV industry that were done wrong, and let's do them right. So they said, let's fix some things. And man, I mean, you know, anybody who's everything from their Asdale siding to their, you know, road armor kit and shock kits, their ABS, their oh my gosh, I mean, no nail holes or putty marks, frameless windows. But I'll tell you what does it for me. I told you, I not only research online, I also go to places. I went to a couple dealerships that sold multiple things, and one of them sold Brinkley's is one of them. I found the guy that does those little PDI lists for the dealership. I found this. I literally found, I mean, for lack of better terms, I found the grunt, right? I found the guy, the worker bee, who is the guy who.
That's the important guy.
He was, man. He's the guy who's out there doing the work. And I found him, and I found him on the lot, and I was like, hey, I said, let me ask you a question real quick. I said, what do you think of these Brinkleys? And it was funny because he goes, and he does this. He literally does this. I'll tell you what, you know, really? It's always good when somebody does that. If somebody ever goes, you're about to get good stuff. And so he goes, I'll tell you what, he goes, we do these PDI lists, you know, for everything that comes in here. He goes, they get off the truck, they're brand new, right? He goes, brand new RVs from, and he names these other brands that I saw out there. And I won't name any of those brands there, no matter how grand of a design they are. But he says, you know, he goes, these lists are never less than 15, 20 people. He goes, but 20 people, sorry. These lists are never, less than 15 to 20 items of fix-its they got to do. He says, I don't think I've ever had more than 3 or 4 fixes on a Brinkley.
So why did you? So why is that dealer not on your list? Because the dealer.
So again, you're looking at the, you know, that, and you're looking at the, you know, the dealership. If you buy a certain RV, then you better be close to a dealership, and you better be, you know, and you better like their service record and everything. The other thing you should always do whenever you're going to buy an RV is you should ask them, hey, this thing breaks down, how fast can I get this thing fixed? And don't only take their answer, maybe call them and put on your best voice, you know, do your own voice. Oh, this is Marge Simpson. I'm curious. I just bought a Brinkley from you. I need to get it fixed. When can I get it in? You know, I mean, and literally try to find out when. And many dealerships out there are literally months out on getting service. And then I met this guy, Tony. And this is not an infomercial for Tony. I mean, honestly, you got to do your research in your area. I happen to live in it's the Sacramento area, and
Mhm.
there's this guy within an hour from me. And I actually had called because as I was searching around looking for stuff, I also really like I like several different brands, but this I call up this particular brand. I contacted the company and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a dealership near me," and they're like, "Hey, check out this guy," and they introduced me to Tony. And so I started looking at Shasta Phoenixes, and I didn't know much. I knew some Forest River stuff. I knew, I'd seen some of those. I hadn't seen a lot of Shasta, so I started researching Shasta. Love the Asdale siding. Love the very, very good units. The
Mhm.
way I described it is, if a Brinkley is a Lexus, the Shasta is the Toyota. So if I'm looking at a Lexus RX, Shasta is a Toyota RAV4.
Right,
Um,
right.
Reliable, good, but maybe not all the perks. There's
Well,
things
they're
about a
not as
Brinkley.
expensive either. They're not as expensive as a Brinkley.
Yeah, I mean, I literally could get a Shasta for maybe 50, where the Brinkley I want would probably be 80. So you're talking 30 grand,
Right.
and I love the Brinkley. I mean, honestly, I probably, if money just grew on tree, if I had money to spend, if I was just like, then I might get the Brinkley. But even that, you gotta fix it somewhere. And Tony, I walked into the seminar of his. Actually, I visited his dealership first time, and it just so happened he's an hour from me, and I was drinking way too much diet soda on the way there, and I was like, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" Okay, here's a tip for you. Whenever you go to an RV place, use their bathroom and check it out, because these are the guys that are cleaning these RVs for you, right? His bathroom was immaculate. It was literally immaculate. I could have eaten off the floor. And I was like, and as I talked to this guy, he called me back. I'm sorry, we live in a world where people do not call you back, and they not do what they say they'll do. And so I started just kind of throwing out little bones of, hey, what about this? What about this? This guy would always do everything I asked him. Like I would say, hey, can you do this? He'd go, yeah, I'll get that to you tomorrow. Guess what? He got it to me tomorrow. He called me back. He did. And I'm like, this is, and then I literally went over and I talked to some of the guys that work for him. I talked to this new kid who just was hired, who met Tony in the weight room. Because if you've seen Tony, the
Yeah,
dude spends time in the weight room.
yeah.
And I was asking him, and let me tell you, if you need to get your RV fixed, he will usually get it in within a week, and his goal is to get it out to you within 72 hours. Sometimes they're waiting for parts or some of this, but I mean, this is kind of unheard of. He's kind of a unicorn in the industry, but I'm just telling you, do your research and find out not only what RV you want, but who you want to buy it from, because both are vitally important.
I have said that forever, but most people, I believe, I don't think anybody, I asked the question, what does a mistake feel like? And people say, oh, it feels bad. Then why did you do it? Because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And you understand what I'm saying. And many people go into an RV purchase thinking it's the same as a car. I've got a little warranty issue. I'll take it in and get it out in 2 or 3 days. It's the RV world is completely different. And if you don't have a good relationship with a good dealer,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be pretty disappointed in the future. At least, and I think you agree with me on that. I mean, the
Yeah.
dealer's everything.
I mean, you're buying a mobile house that is going to be shook, and hopefully, if you buy the right, I mean, you could buy, what is it, the True Course anti-sway that prevents the side by side. Brinkley's have those, right?
Yeah.
You can get those things that's going to shake less, but the bottom line is that thing is going to be shaken down the road. Your Kool-Aid's going to fall off the counter. So you need to kind of be ready for not only when that drawer busts. You should probably learn how to fix a drawer and a drawer slide yourself. But man, I tell you, there's so much stuff that you're going to need to bring in. I'm a big believer in warranties. They don't make stuff like they used to. In a lot of, we're talking like the fridges and the stuff that the
Oh,
RV dealership the RV maker has to get a fridge from whoever, and
right.
that fridge could break, that kind of stuff. Warranties are great things because they don't make fridges like they used to. And so I want to be close to that dealer. I want that dealer to be responsible, and I want to buy a unit with people that actually camp and care about this kind of stuff. And so far, I tell you, I'm liking the Shasta Phoenix. I'm liking Brinkley. If you got the money, and if you got a dealer next to you that you like. But for me, those two things are very important. I mean, I like Forest River. I like Coachman. And I was even surprised to find out that these Shasta Phoenixes are pretty much it's
I
kind of
think
like
the same plant.
it is it's the same model. So if you're listeners, if you're familiar with some of the Coachman lights, literally the Phoenix is the parallel. Is back when you used to buy, back in the day, if you bought a Mercury Villager or a Nissan Quest minivan, you can tell I had kids. They're the same thing, but with a different logo. But that's kind of what it is. The Shasta Phoenix is very similar. So it's a good unit. Coachman is a great company. Forest River is a great company.
Take me back, if you would, Jonathan, to his RV buyers seminar. The dealers I work with, we used to do that once a month, but then that thing called COVID came along, and then that just kind of destroyed everything,
killed that.
But Tony does these, and I think that they're fabulous. They're educational. Was his a sales pitch? I mean, I'm just
no. He promises it won't be, and that's one thing I like about Tony is. That's one thing I like about Tony is he keeps his word. He says, hey, whether you got an RV, whether you're shopping for an RV, here's just some stuff that's good to know. And he provides good information. He's honest and he's transparent. And those two things are so huge. So yeah, his seminar was great because it was everything from, hey, what can are warranties worth it? And what are some things you should look for financing and the tax deductions that are available and to, hey, here's the different types of RVs and payload. Payload's huge. That's a topic that the first fifth wheel we bought, we didn't understand payload at all, and nobody talked to us about it. And so many people are carrying more than they should. Most people are going this way, pulling not more than they should this way, but a lot of people have a lot more weight going down this way than they should. And the payload discussion, a lot of people in 2500s who should be in 3500s, and a lot of people in 1500s who should be in 2500s. So those are things that he talked a little bit about.
You're out there in California. Have you found that there are many other dealers that do these seminars, or not really? Because I haven't heard.
And they might. I haven't found it. And most of the dealers, I had a dealer that my wife and I walked into, and it's the closest dealer to us where we live. And we walked in, and the salesman comes up, and he's like, he's just as grumpy as heck. And he's like, you got an appointment? And we're like, oh, no, we don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we need one? We just kind of were looking at RVs, and we're thinking of getting one. Is that okay? He's all, yeah, you really should have an appointment though. So the first thing he does is he corrects me. I'm like, thanks, Dad. And then he's like, all right, what are you looking at? And we just went out there. This dude was like grumpy. I caught him on his bad day. And I didn't let him know. My wife sits there and nudges me and laughs, and she's all pleased because she doesn't like it if I end up, because sometimes I'll pop after a guy gives me about the 17th piece of bad information. I'll be like, first of all, you're wrong about this. Second of all, you're because he actually even told me, because I asked, oh, is this a actual queen, or is this one of those RV, and he's all, no, he goes, no RVs have anything better than a queen. Nothing is, and I literally wanted to say, well, actually. Do you know that Coachman actually offers a king? So I didn't go there with him, but I mean, he was giving bad information. He was grumpy, whatever. And it was just one of those things where I was like, there's no way. If this guy had the best thing I wanted, I don't want to buy from him, because can you imagine what the service department is like that hires somebody like this?
If that's as good as you're going to get, that's as good and warm and kind as you're going to get before you give them the money. What's going to happen after you give them your money?
Yeah. It's going to be like, get in line. Maybe in 6 months we'll get to you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, forget that.
So how close are you to pulling the trigger, or do you, or when will you know? I'm just. Do you know, boy, if I get that and that, check all those boxes, or you wait until you retire? I don't know. What you've been doing it for?
No, I'm getting close. I mean, you should be able to, honestly, after you spend a month, wait a month at least. For me, I like the fact that I've spent over 6 months because I have gathered a lot of information. I've not just gathered information what I want, but I've gone shopping, so I've kind of shopped out who I want to get it from, and I'm pretty set on what I think I'm going to get. So right now, I'm just kind of waiting until the money is right and the financing is right, and I'm probably going to jump on it. And I probably would have been ready at about the 5 or 6 month mark, but I'm kind of waiting because there's kind of a lot of uncertainty right now, and
Just
I
the
have a feeling
economy and
and I think there's going to be, this video is timeless, so let's not date it. But in the times we're in now, we're waiting. I'm waiting for some interest rates and some different things to happen. But I think I know what I want and who I want to get it from.
So how has, if you think of the Jonathan you were at the beginning of this shopping process, are you still pretty much on track of what you thought you wanted to buy, or have you changed? Man, I thought I wanted and I'm not talking about the brand, but
no, it's a good thing. And I'll use a brand as an example. I mean, within about a month, I was 98% Brinkley, because it just, within the first month, I was shopping around. You just noticed, and we were RV owners. We know what it's like to have things falling apart, and to see the difference. Honestly, Brinkley's truly my favorite. I'll just say it straight up. As a guy who's going to probably buy a Shasta, the tons of storage, the little things of, like, when you get there and pulling out the hose, you don't have to have your own hose. You can pull it out. The dovetail drawers, the hard, wood cabinets, the frameless windows, no valances. Think of your blinds swinging and all the different stuff, I love a Brinkley, and I reached out to some of the guys. They got right back to me. The ownership's amazing. Most people who have Brinkleys will say how Johnny on the spot they are with service, this and that. I love it. So I was in this journey 1 month into it, 98% Brinkley, and Tony changed me, and he didn't change me because he never said a bad word about Brinkley. I literally was like, dude, you got to get Brinkleys here. Because he was close, and selfishly, I'm like, can you get some Brinkleys so I can buy them from you so you could take care of me? And he's like, yeah, I can't, but here's what we got. And I had come to him because I was searching. Remember, I don't try to have blinders on. I was searching like this. So I found Coachman. I found Forest River. The Coachman people said, hey, this is the same as Coachman. Go check it out. Plus, this guy's really good. And when I went out there, I was just like, this guy is different than anybody I've talked with, so much to the point that I think I'll take the Toyota instead of the Lexus. And honestly, and so I honestly, I think it's a great, I'm not going to bad talk on Toyota RAV4. Toyota RAV4 is great. I don't need the Lexus RX if the RAV4 dealership's right by my house and they're going to fix it so much great. And it's going to be, and if I have to drive to San Francisco, 2 hours away to fix my Lexus every time, I'm going to have the RAV4. So that's how the evolution of the search went for me.
We're going to wrap this thing up, but I have a question. When you finally do pull the trigger, when you finally, you know what? I got it. When you actually have it and you've taken it, I would like to visit with you just about, what you bought. If you did buy it from Tony, maybe you change your mind. I don't know. I would like to follow you if I can, Jonathan, because I think people, you're a great interview. You're passionate. You're very smart, knowledgeable. You ought to sell Brinkleys if you need another job. but I'd love to be able to connect with you in the future, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. We'll see. I'm in the world of sales myself, so we'll see how commissions and interest rates go, because I'll determine whether I'm going to buy it next week or next year. But yeah, let's do it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting Jonathan and learning about his approach at doing his homework. I do realize that not everyone has the same objectives that Jonathan does. Some folks will do even more research, and sadly, most people will do a whole lot less. And when people have regrets, and a lot of times they do, about their RV purchase, most of the time, I think it can be connected with not doing quite enough homework. The truth is that I think that Jonathan is doing exactly what more buyers should be doing before they ever set foot in a dealership, slowing down, asking the right questions, and remembering that you're not just buying a box on wheels. Some folks call them a crate on skates. You're also choosing a dealer who will be a part of your life long after that first road trip is over. Like Jonathan said, RVs break. All of them break. Even the best ones break. That's why who you buy from matters just as much, if not more, than what brand of RV you buy. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to give a nod to Tony out at Referral Auto Group in California. It's dealers like Tony. They are so rare. He has got super high standards. He gives straight answers and what he says he will do. I don't throw that kind of praise around lightly, folks, but Tony has earned it. I have a link to him in the description down below, along with links to some others in the America's most trusted RV dealer network. I hope that you'll check them out. If you're in the market to buy an RV, or you know someone who is, I hope that you'll send them this video, because Jonathan didn't join me to sell anything. He didn't. He joined me as a reminder to others that homework is more than just research. It's wisdom in action. Until next time, I'm the RV Wingman, reminding you, be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.